Hello, and welcome to Sivako, the Avatar podcast. My name is Shaun Alexander, and I will be your guides to the world of Avatar and beyond. And today I have an incredibly special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. My name's Alison Blanchard, and I played Dr. Jackie Ogden in the pre-show queue area for the Flight of Passage ride at Walt Disney World in Animal Kingdom.
And it's such a pleasure to have you on today. And I've been so excited because, first and foremost, the podcast's named after your phrase from the pre-show, which is so exciting. It's almost a full circle moment for the show to begin like this.
Exactly. And
Uh,
well, oddly, that one word when the script was written, it was Sivako. Oh, now I don't remember. There were like two phrases after it, and then in the post show or in the editing process, they decided that it was too long, and so they managed to trim out one of the phrases, and I don't know how they did it. It was kind of amazing to me, but I can't see it when I look at the edit now.
yeah, it's all pretty seamless. I would not have known unless you have said. So before we get on to our talk about Avatar and Flight of Passage, I wanted to ask you, because you've actually had quite a long career with Disney overall. So how did you first begin with them?
Yeah, I started at Disney in November of 1990 because I'm very old. Um, and I started there. I had been working as a prop builder um, and sculptor for TV, movies, commercials, that sort of work here in LA. And my company was low on work, and so I was out of work. And a woman who worked there as at my company as a carpenter uh, told me, she came around and said, "Hey, Disney's hiring again." And I used to work there, and you should come with me. And so she gave me a phone number to call. And well, first she said, come on by. You can walk in off the street and fill out an application, drop off your resume. And when I went in, uh, the woman behind the desk said, yes, you can leave your resume. She was literally filing her fingernails. It was kind of like a cartoon. Um,
Mm.
and so I went in, I gave them my resume, and I knew it went immediately in the trash. So I went out and I called my friend and I said, "Is there another way? What can I do?" And she said, "Oh, here, call this number. This is the boss guy." So I called him. Um, I think I was 23 at the time. And
Mm.
he said, "Well, that's not how I do business." And he left a uh, application at the desk of his location, which was a more remote location. And I filled it out and added in the fact that my mom had worked there at Disneyland in the 60s as a singing waitress at the Golden Horseshoe restaurant, and hoped that that wasn't too smarmy. And and he loved it, and I got hired. I got hired as a temp in the prop department, and I worked there for about 4 months, and then they hired me as permanent staff, and I was there for 14 years doing prop building, prop sculpting. Worked on Mickey's Toontown a lot,
Mhm.
and then I gradually got pulled over into the model department and worked on more like fine art sculpting, working on bronze pieces that would go in the park and on the cruise ships, and all kinds of different stuff, maquettes, big stuff, little stuff. Um, so I was a sculptor and model builder there until 2005, I believe.
That's so impressive as well. Hearing the sort of, yeah, it did sound like a cartoon of being like, oh, just walking off the street and handing your
Yeah, it was
resume.
crazy.
If it feels very different from the sort of processes you have to go through
Yeah.
today for anything like that.
Well, very quickly
And
they blocked off that door, and then it was impossible to walk in off the street.
I bet. And so from there as well, you not only have some experience on obviously Flight of Passage of being part of that, but there are a few other rides in the parks which you're a part of too.
Yes, yes. They I'm an actress by training. My college degree is in acting, and then I kind of knew that I wouldn't get the roles I was getting in college were the old lady. And when you're
Oh, no.
21, there are actually old ladies in the world to play old ladies. So I sort of had a feeling I really wouldn't work until I was older, and that has certainly been the case. Um, and so I got other work. I started doing prop building and sculpting and stuff. But people knew I was an actor, and at Walt Disney Imagineering, there are a lot of people who come from stage work, from acting, from you know set building, from lighting design, from these are skills that transfer over. And so we had a little acting company within the company. And so the part of the company that did the films for the that were associated with the rides is called Theme Park Productions, and the casting guy from Theme Park Productions knew that I was an actor, and so he would call me up uh, from time to time and say, "Hey, can you come down the hall and go into Studio A, and we need to record this thing. It's a scratch track for a play testing for a ride, or it's a few lines for in front of the uh, oh shoot, the Michael Jackson movie. Uh,
Oh, Captain Eon.
yes, Captain EO. Um, I did a little when they brought that back. I did a little, welcome. You'll wait here until the doors open, and then walk all the way down to the end of the row. That was me. Um, so things like that, just a little thing here and there. Um, and so I still have a line, I believe, in Space Mountain, and one in Star Tours. And the one in Star Tours I'm happy about because every every ride hears it. You there's the first beginning part that's always the same, and then you go on your journey. And mine's in the beginning part, so everybody hears it. So that's fun. So I'm always able to say, "That's me."
Oh. That's it. It's must be kind of fun to look at these kind of little parts that you're playing and be like, these are just playing for forever almost
Yeah,
now, like until things change. But that's a lot of people seeing you
yeah,
performing now.
yeah, yeah. It's fun. I my first big thing that it really helped me in my acting career actually was on Mission Space, which I think they've canceled, or I don't know if it's still even there.
It's still
Is it?
there, yeah. In
In
Epcot,
Epcot.
yeah.
Anyway, so Mission Space they were working on for, I mean, all of these rides take years to develop. And especially something like Mission Space, which was a whole new kind of simulator. Um, so it took forever, and they were rewriting and rewriting and rewriting, and they would record parts of it so that they could time it and test it with the vehicle, and just see how it sounded. I don't know what their whole process is, but they would call me from time to time, and I'd go down the hall and do a little bit of the computer voice. And it's the actor is talking and saying, "Oh, this is very exciting, and we're going to take off here." And my role was to say, landing in 10, 9, 8, like that.
Hmm.
So I had a lot of those things, and I worked on it for 2.5 years, just here and there, periodically. over the course of a long time. And they kept telling me, yes, eventually, these are just scratch tracks, and eventually we'll hire a real actress to be the voice of the computer. So I really thought that was all that was going to happen. And I was not getting paid as an actor. I was getting paid as uh, my regular rate, but they were in a different department, so they had a job number that they would give me, and I would, like their department would pay my rate to my department so that I could get paid. So I did that for, like I say, 2.5 years, and then eventually the writer and director wound up loving me so much that they decided to cast me as the actual voice of the computer in the ride. And for that, those roles are SAG signatory. So I got into the Screen Actors Guild by being Taft Hartley'd at work to be in this ride. And a large part of it, I think, had to do with the fact that they had already used my voice and embedded my voice in so deep in the layers of recording that it would have been a lot more trouble for them to hire someone new and have them re-record everything. So for me, I did the day. It was only maybe 4 hours and I was done with all of my recording. Whereas had they had to start from scratch, it probably would have been a couple of days. So, so yeah, so that's how I got into SAG, and I've always been very grateful to them ever since. So I've
Yeah,
I've gone on to do a few things, television and bits here and there, but I always am willing to go back for them because I really have this love and gratitude for them.
yeah, it must be feel quite special in that sense as well to have so many creatives around you who are all like towards a common goal. So you're all feeling that sort of positive energy to working towards these projects.
Yes, it's really fun. It was a great place to walk around, and everybody's working on something new and interesting. And where we were was uh, the model shop. We had this big area, and we would have models of upcoming rides that we were all working on, or sometimes we would have, like, we archived all these models over the years as well. So sometimes if they were having a display of stuff in the park, or there was an anniversary of an attraction coming up or something like that, they would pull out the old model and bring it in and clean it up. And so there was always something new to look at in our area. So we had a lot of people coming through all the time. In fact, one time I remember this because we were eating breakfast in a restaurant the other day, and he was there. But I was working in my cubicle one day, and I was sculpting some sort of piece of architectural ornamentation for Tokyo Disney Sea. And somebody said, "Oh, good morning." And I turned around, and there was Tim Allen. And I went, "Ah, it's you."
That is quite the jump
Yeah.
scare. Wow. Yeah, that and it must be that sort of sense as well of like you're seeing people that you do recognize or you've heard about a lot as well who are just sort of around because they're working on these
Yeah,
projects.
absolutely. I saw Robin Williams almost took my head off with a door one time. He was coming through, and oh, yeah, there were a lot of, living in Los Angeles, you see people, but working it's not we weren't a film studio, but people like that did come through from time to time to do a voiceover or something like that. So it was always fun.
Yeah. And that sort of brings us nicely on to your role in Flight of Passage. So, how did that first start up?
Well, like I say, the casting director for theme park productions knew me and liked me, and so I had been doing this for years, just coming in from time to time and doing a little thing, even well after I was laid off as a worker in the model shop. I would still come back periodically, and he called me one day and said, "Oh, we've got this thing. It's for the new Avatar land in Animal Kingdom, and it's called Flight of Passage. And it's going to be recorded like in 2.5 weeks, but I'll send you the script today. And that was very weird because, if I'm going in to do a voiceover, I've got the script right in front of me. I don't need the script in advance. So I went, okay. And he sent it and I read it. And it was, like about 2.5 pages of, it was just like down the center of the page, kind of like a television script is written. So there are very wide borders and the materials just down the center of the page. So it was like that. Um, but it was, a lot, and there was nobody else talking, just me. And I was Dr. Jackie Ogden, and then I was welcoming you, and we're going to do this exciting thing and ride on a dragon, and it's going to be grand, and this is how it's going to work, and all that. I thought, okay, fine. And then the day before I was supposed to go in for it, I reread the email and I realized I think this is video, which I had never done for them before. And I called him up. I said, Brian, is this on video? And he said, oh, yes, we're filming this. And so at that point, I had to really put the pedal to the metal and learn that whole thing overnight because you can't read it off a mic stand or off a music stand if you're going to be on video. So thank God I did it. I just went bit by bit, crammed it into my head, and all of my years of doing cold reading classes really helped with that. And I went in, and it was great. And this was just for the ride testing section. They were trying to see if the vehicle worked, because I don't know how many of your viewers have ridden the thing, but it's like you're riding a horse or something, or a motorcycle. I guess it's a
Yeah,
motorcycle.
yeah, because you're kind of having to like you got your leg over
Yeah,
it, and it's a very different setup to
exactly.
your usual sort of like boat rides.
Yeah, they've never done anything like this before, obviously. So they really needed a lot of testing with like different people, different sizes, different, children and heavy people and, all these different people. So they needed to, like, my part was partly explaining how to do it. And I think in the actual ride, that's the other guy. That's like junior scientist guy that's explaining how to get on the thing. Um, but
Yeah.
in this early version, it was me. And so I got there, and they had a very weird setup where they had a DSLR camera that was on a curved track that went around me, and it was motion controlled, and it went back and forth, like. And I was supposed to be like, it was kind of like this, like I had just a plain background, and I was wearing my lab coat, and I was kind of like walking back and forth and talking to the camera as it would go and like that. And they said, oh, well, we've got a teleprompter for you, and you can get a teleprompter app for your iPad. So they had that, but it was right here. So I was like, it looks
Yeah.
super weird if you're looking off to the side ever. If you're supposed to be talking to the camera and you are talking like this, it's obvious that you're not looking at the camera. So
Yeah.
so very quickly I realized I can't even have it there, because if I it'll pull my attention and it'll look real strange. So I said, take it away. I can just do it. And I did. And I was very relieved and proud of myself. Gave myself a little pat on the back. And yeah, and Joe Rohde was there. And he was, of course, he's the big driving force of design behind all of Animal Kingdom, and this ride particularly. And so I knew him from working there all that time. And I think it always makes me feel good when I go in, and those people that I worked with when I was a maker of things get to see me in this different light as an actor. Um, and he wound up saying, "Oh wow, she did such a great job. We're going to actually use her." So again, just like with with Hidden Space, they actually decided to use me for the shoot. So I was really happy about that.
It's almost like a tale of like a bit of persistence. If you stick around long enough, you can find a way in.
Exactly. Yeah. Just, go in and do your best. And if you are undeniable, they will use you. So
So was Avatar something you were a fan of before, or had you seen it before at
I
least?
had certainly seen it. And we were waiting at that point for the Way of Water to come out. We didn't even know the name at that point, of course, but we knew that there were going to be more films. Um, I think I saw it once. I'm sorry to be like not a super fan for you, but I
That's
did.
okay. Look,
I enjoyed it.
it's all good.
But yeah, that was all. So I had seen it in the theater, and it was years ago. So I didn't have a super clear memory of the story or anything. And I did find out from Joe Rohde that Jackie Ogden is a real person. Um, she was one of the I think she did something with the animals at Animal Kingdom, and she had been a real contributor to the whole of the park for years and years. And so he wanted to honor her by naming the character Dr. Jackie Ogden. So she wasn't someone from the movie, but she was someone that was highly involved in Animal Kingdom.
That I love little details like that because it feels like it makes it more of like a family thing. Because I know as well with John Landau, who's a producer on Avatar, he's like got bits in Pandora that are parts to do with him. I think he's like on the back of maybe the translator. He's like dressed up in a different outfit
Oh,
and things like that. So it's nice to see like people get like to pop up in different
uh-huh.
ways that like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Disney has a long history of doing that. At Disneyland, the legends have on Main Street, along Main Street, there'll be windows with it'll be like, Joe Blow's photography studio, and they'll instead of Joe Blow, they'll put the name of a iconic Disney photographer that really contributed over the years. Or they've got the Sherman Brothers, who were, of course, songwriters and musicians for Mary Poppins and all the films over the years. Very, very honored, great guys. And that'll be like the Sherman Brothers music lessons on a window. So they've got those all over the place. And if you know the legends, you'll get to say, "Oh, hey, I know that name. I know Ollie Johnson. He was a great animator." So it's fun to have those kind of Easter eggs.
Yeah, definitely. So, with your role as Jackie Ogden, how much of a say did you get in terms of the costume and also like how you were performing it as well?
Well, I made a choice when I came in. I didn't have to audition or anything. It was me just doing the scratch track bit. So I just decided this was how I was going to be, and they wound up loving it. You know, Generally with auditions, you usually, you read the material and the actor makes a choice. And that's what they want to see. They want to see, what would you do with it? And if you do it the way they like it, they'll hire you. And then they don't want to change it. They want you to do it like that. So, so, in that sense, I did kind of create that character, but I'm sure it was what they had in mind, you know? I didn't do something radically different that they went, "Oh, I've never thought of it that way. We should do it like that." It was I went in with a a feeling of how they wanted it to be done. And then everything else, costume and everything, I had nothing to do with. They brought in a bunch of different outfits, and this is how it goes when you're, playing a character in any TV or film or anything. They bring in wardrobe brings in a bunch of different outfits and they change you out. We had like 4 different versions of the lab coat. Let's try this lab coat. Let's try that lab coat. Here, clip it tighter in the back and then like roll up the sleeves inside. So yeah, that kind of thing is always on the production. And, in those cases, I just stand there and like a mannequin and put things on me and play dressy Bessie.
That must be kind of fun as well, though, to sort of see everyone else at work as well, building it around you. And I'm guessing that makes it easier for you as an actor to get into it.
Absolutely. I always feel like, I don't really know exactly who I am as a character until I get the outfit and the shoes um, yeah, when I walked into that set, I was blown away. It was really amazing. They had, on the day they had built this huge office set with all these kind of really cool uh, artifacts from her travels, and there was I'm sure you can see it. It's on the desk. There's like a skull of a creature with these really, really pointy teeth. And it looked I had a friend at Imagineering who was also a sculptor, and I called him up. I said, "Did you make this thing?" And he did not, but it looked just like something that he would have made. So, but yeah, it was amazingly cool, really huge. And so, at that point, then we rehearse like me coming in and when do I start to talk, and then you'd say this to this side and say this to this side, and then of course in the ride it's split up. So you see me a little bit, and then there's me talking over some different video, and then they come back to me. But on the day, I just did it all in one, and we just did it a bunch of times. And they changed the wording a couple times, cut a couple things out, I think, just for flow and time. But yeah, it was great. And the guy playing the other character was there on the same day, and he was doing his stuff in, like, way across the stage in a different part of the stage. They had built his whole area.
I was going to say it must be weird because obviously, yeah, you two have shared sort of this ride space in a way, but didn't work together in the same way.
Yeah, no, not on the day. I mean, obviously, he's on his thing and I'm in my thing, and even though he says, "And now here she is," like, we're not together at all.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask as well. So obviously, what was sort of the time scale in terms of like filming to when everything obviously got made in terms of people being able to ride the ride?
Oh, well,
I think the ride opened in 2017, I believe.
okay. I would believe that.
I'll double check.
Um, God, it seems like so long ago. It's crazy. Um, it, uh, it was rather a long time, actually. Um, Even though, like I say, they'd been working on the thing for years by that time. It takes a really long time, particularly with a new ride system, to get everything up and running. And with all the animation they have to do and all that stuff for that type of simulator ride, it's quite extensive. Um, but I went in first and, did the playtesting stuff, and then it was several weeks, I think, maybe a couple of months before they called me and said, "Oh, hey, remember that thing you did? They want to use you." So that was great. That was a nice surprise. Um, and then after that, it was fairly quick to, between really getting cast and actually doing the thing. And so that involved, I went into Imagineering to their space several times um, to look at costumes and things like that. And then we did the thing on the day, maybe, I don't know, it was maybe a week later. And it just took the one day. It wasn't longer than that. And then after that, like, I thought, "Okay, great, that's done." And then they kept calling me back and saying, "Oh, hey, can you come back? We need you to take some photos." And so they have that photo of me that's like, I have all these ropes, like, in my arm,
Yeah.
and I look very, very tough and
You,
majestic.
yeah. You look like you've just been on like a jungle voyage, kind
Exactly.
of climbing a mountain.
Yeah, so they have all these different photos of me, with the lab coat, without the lab coat, and they've got it on book jackets, and they've got it, all over the place and within the ride. So there were 2 or 3 different days when they called me back to do photo shoots. And the last one, if I recall, was the one where they have me actually on the ride vehicle. They had where they had been testing it in another building, and they said, "Here, come down here. We've got to put you on on the thing so we can have a picture of the doctor on the ride vehicle." So that was cool because I hadn't seen it before, so, and I still to this day have not actually ridden it.
Oh, gonna have to change
Very
that.
sad.
I know. Oh, but it must feel special in that sense to be have something that's obviously the other side of the country from you, and you're there every day
Yeah.
doing your thing now, and it's obviously like inspiring and makes people very happy
Mhm.
to see you on the ride.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of hilarious for when it first opened and for years afterwards, really. I would get texts from friends at like 6 o'clock in the morning because it's, of course, 9 o'clock in the morning in Florida and 6 a.m. here. And people saying, "Oh my God, I just saw you on the ride. I didn't know you did that. That's amazing." And people saying, "That's Allison." So it's really fun to be able to like be that special Easter egg for my friends, as well as, you know, playing Dr. Ogden, who is her own Easter egg. So that was fun.
I was going to say, does it work the other way as well, where people now recognise you at all as Dr. Ogden?
I don't know. Uh, oh, you mean recognize me?
Yeah, like as from recognise you from the
I got
ride.
recognized one time, and it was very exciting. It was the first time I'd ever been recognized for any acting project ever on the street. And it was, we were in Disneyland. I was there with a friend. And the funny part is, my friend that was there had been a regular on the TV show The Middle. And I don't know if you guys had The Middle there.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
we've had it over here.
so my friend played the neighbor Nancy on The Middle, and I have been out in public with her many times where she's been recognized, even though she was a recurring character. She wasn't on every week, um, but normally she's the one getting recognized, and somebody wants a photo, and so I take the photo, and it's cool. So, but this time we were in the store, and I was buying something, and the gal behind the counter said, "Oh my God, are you are you Dr. Ogden?" I was like, "Well, yes, I am." And she had worked in at Disney World in Florida, and then somehow she transferred out to Disneyland, and she was a fan. And so my friend who played Nancy got to take the picture of me and and the fan. So that was kind of fun for me.
Oh, yeah, no, that's good. Also, nice to get a bit of revenge on your friend.
Exactly. You're not the only famous one.
Oh, honestly, it's so amazing, and it's been so amazing to hear like these stories of how it was made and everything. I want to ask as well, because obviously you said you worked with Joe Rody, and obviously his work on Animal Kingdom is incredible, like very
Yeah.
inspiring. What other ways did you work with him?
Well, he and I didn't really ever work. I worked on stuff for Animal Kingdom, but he was a overall designer, art director, creative type, and my stuff was like a much later part in the process. So he would have seen stuff I worked on, but there were a lot of other layers of people and art directors between him and me on that actually working on stuff. So he does the overall concept, and like the art director of the particular ride does their overall ideas and with his approval, and then those art directors go back and talk to me, and I make a thing,
Mm.
and then it goes in, so it's steps away. But I mean, you see everybody in the hallways. It's not like they feel like,
Lots away.
yeah, they're not locked away, and it's not like anybody feels like they are, mucky mucks or high above us. We're all in it together, but just that's the way it goes working on any project. So, I didn't have day to day work interactions with him so much as just seeing him around and, you know, knowing him. But
Yeah.
I do have a friend that went on many overseas trips with him, as a coordinator. And she got to go to Thailand and France and, all over the place because they did a lot of research trips all over the world. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's been interesting because I feel like there's more um, series and videos now about the sort of making process, the behind the
Yeah,
scenes
for
of how
sure.
things are made, and I think it's good to see a lot of appreciation for that
Mhm.
because the craft work that goes into it, the hours and the creative talent going into it's so impressive, and I'm glad that more people are getting a chance to see that.
Yeah, it's neat. There's a Imagineering YouTube channel now, and they just put out the first episode of, I think it's called This is Imagineering. Uh, but yeah, you should go and check that out because it's very interesting. You see like inside I mean, a lot of it is staged, mind you. I know that when I was working and they were filming anything, they would have us like, here, you and Frank stand by this thing and pretend you're sculpting on it. Like, so, and I would say, like, one time for sure, I know I said, I didn't work on that thing. I didn't ever touch it. I'm not on the project. I never did it. And they said, just stand there, just pretend. And I felt uncomfortable with that. But to be honest, they wanted a woman also working on it. They didn't want it all
Oh.
to be just guys. So I pretended. Thought, well, I've worked on many other things and I could have worked on that, but as it happened, I didn't. Oh well.
Oh, it's a bit of the Hollywood magic you got to throw in there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I know there's an Imagineering series on the Disney Channel as well, and I appear in it at least once. You kind of see from over the back of my head, and that was something that I actually really was working on. So, so that was neat.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty exciting. But it's good to see your work appreciated in different ways, and also you're in multiple parks then. So
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
if so, obviously Animal Kingdom. You said about Mission Space with Epcot, and you said with Star Tours. Is that every Star Tours?
I don't think so. Um, yeah, I didn't. The only other country I've ever been to go to a park was Japan, which is amazing. But we didn't ride Star Tours that day. It was snowing that day, And I've never seen a park that crowded. They're
Gosh.
they're such Disney fans in Japan, it's incredible. So we really only, we got to do like 2 rides, something like that. It was very minimal. Um, but yeah, I don't think that my voice is in every Star Tours. And they change the recordings pretty frequently. So every time I go, I'm kind of surprised if I'm still there. Like, "Oh, they've still got that."
Hey, that shows you're lasting and you've got a voice that's so recognizable that they want to keep.
Exactly. And they did actually, they reused my voice one time, and the s I think it was the, Space Mountain, where, they wanted to reuse that one little clip that they used in the World of Color show. They have these, like, projections on mist curtains and fireworks and all that kinda stuff. They have these shows at night. And so the new one at Disney's California Adventure some years ago was World of Color, and uh, they emailed me and said, "Hey, we want to use your clip in this new thing. Is that okay?" And I said, "Yes, sure." And then they paid me, so that was great.
Amazing. Just get. It's so nice to get paid just for having your voice already used.
Exactly.
Oh, and that's part of that SAG and everything like that. That's great. I just want to say a big thank you, Alison. It's been such a pleasure having you on to talk about all these
Oh, my
things to do
pleasure.
with Avatar and Disney. And I hope everyone's sort of enjoyed and got to learn some new things as well. Is there any other final like little details you could pass on to fans who might have something to look out for next time they're there?
Well, the one thing I did forget to mention about that other guy, like junior scientist guy, um,
Yes.
I feel badly for him because he gets a lot of grief for his characterization. And I always try and remind people he was directed that way. They wanted him to seem kind of clueless and bumbling and say, a lot. So it wasn't his fault. He did it that way on purpose. They wanted him to do it that way. Um, yeah, but it was a really, really fun project to be involved in, and it's cool. My work had been all over the world, in Paris and in China, and all over the place. I worked on a lot of different projects, making things in Glendale, California, for all these worldwide parks. But this was the first time that, as you say, my acting presence had been in a different park. So it was really fun.
Oh, it's amazing, and I hope maybe you never know down the line they're thinking of making more Avatar things. They might need you back. Who
That would be
knows?
great. I know that I'm popular. It surprises me. I looked online I did a search for Dr. Jackie Ogden, and all these things came up, and I was like, I can't believe it. People are so interested, and like you're not the only person who's ever reached out and said, "Oh, hey, I saw you on the ride, and I have need to contact you somehow." I don't know how people find me. I It's beyond me, but it's kind of amazing that people are this interested. So I love.
I think that's a part of the whole sort of Disney and anything that's kind of got a fan base that people want to show their appreciation however they can, and yeah, it's so great to be able to hear these stories that you've got to share.
My pleasure, really. I really appreciate your doing this.
So yeah, thanks for everyone for listening to myself and Alison chatting, and yeah, I hope you all enjoy it and hope you all have a great day. And Alison, hope you have a great day too.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. This episode is dedicated to our patrons Eric Scrock, Patrick Regal, and Lauren King. To become a patron, visit www.patreon.com/avatarpod.